My name is Liam, and I was 28 years old the night my girlfriend looked at me with trembling eyes and asked for something that would quietly undo everything I believed about love. I still remember the exact second before she spoke. The silence wasn't empty. It was heavy, crowded with things neither of us had dared to say. If I had known how much weight that moment carried, I might have held my breath longer. I might have asked her to wait. Or maybe I would have asked her why her hands were shaking when mine were steady. Even though my heart WASN single quotes T. Emily and I had been together for almost a year. Not the kind of year people brag about online, full of dramatic gestures and loud declarations. Ours was quieter, softer, built on late-night conversations, shared coffee cups, and the kind of emotional closeness that grows slowly when two people are careful with each other's hearts. I loved her long before I ever touched. Her Emily had this way of listening that made you feel like your words mattered even when they were messy. She tilted her head slightly when she focused, her brows knitting together as if she were solving a puzzle that deserved her full attention. She laughed with her whole body, not just her mouth, and when she was sad, she went quiet instead of dramatic. That quiet scared me more than tears ever could. We had boundaries, clear ones. Ones she had set early on, with a nervous honesty I respected deeply. She wasn't ready for everything people assumed couples should be ready for. I told her I understood, and I meant it. Loving her never felt like waiting for something. It felt like choosing her, exactly as she was. That night, it was raining, not the romantic, movie scene rain, just a steady, persistent drizzle tapping against the windows of my small apartment. The city outside looked blurred, lights stretching into soft streaks of color, like everything was slightly out of focus. Emily sat on the couch beside me, knees pulled up, wrapped in one of my hoodies. It swallowed her frame, sleeves too long, fabric smelling faintly of my laundry detergent. She'd been quiet all evening. We'd watched half a movie without really watching it. Her head rested against my shoulder, but her body felt tense, like she was bracing for something. I could feel it in the way she breathed shallow, uneven. "You okay?" I asked gently, not wanting to startle her. She nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just tired. I didn't push. I never did." But something in my chest tightened anyway. Time passed strangely after that. The movie credits rolled unnoticed. The rain got heavier. Emily sat up slowly, pulling the hoodie tighter around herself. She stared at her hands, twisting her fingers together like she was trying to wring courage out of them. Double quotes Liam. She said the way she said my name made my stomach drop. It wasn't casual. It wasn't affectionate. It was careful. "Yeah?" I turned fully toward her. She swallowed. I watched her throat move, watched her take a breath that didn't seem to help. For a moment, I thought she might cry. Instead, she looked at me, really looked at me, and there was something raw in her eyes I hadn't seen before. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything." Another pause. The rain filled the silence for us. "I need you to promise you won't misunderstand me." My heart started beating faster. "Emily, please," she whispered. I nodded. "I promise." She exhaled slowly, like she'd been holding that breath all night. "Do you ever feel like time is slipping?" she asked. "Like you don't notice it until it's already gone?" The question caught me off guard. "Sometimes," I said carefully. "Why?" She shrugged, but it didn't look casual. It looked defensive. "I've just been thinking a lot lately. About us. About what we are. What we could be." I reached for her hand. She let me take it, her fingers cold against mine. "I'm happy with you," I said. "You know that." "I know." Her voice cracked just a little. "That's the problem." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She pulled her hand back not sharply, just enough to create space. That hurt more than if she'd yanked it away. You've... Impatient, she said. Too patient. And I don't know if I deserve that. I shook my head immediately. Hey, don't say that. She looked down again. Everyone else I've ever been with made me feel like I was behind. Like I was failing some invisible test. You never did that. That's because there's nothing wrong with you. Her lips trembled. You say that so easily. Because it's true. She laughed softly then, but it wasn't a happy sound. You don't know everything. Something in my chest tightened again. Then tell me. She hesitated, long enough for fear to crawl up my spine. Not tonight, she said. Maybe some things don't need explanations. I wanted to argue. I wanted to insist. But the look on her face stopped me. She shifted closer, our knees touching. I could feel the warmth of her through the fabric, feel how real she was in that moment. My body reacted before my mind did, but I kept myself still, controlled, respectful. Emily lifted her eyes to mine. Liam, she said again, softer this time, almost afraid. Yes? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Just one night, please. The words didn't land all at once. They scattered, echoing in my head, refusing to settle into meaning. For a second, I thought I'd misunderstood her. One night? I repeated slowly. She nodded, eyes shining not with excitement, but with something closer to desperation. I'm not asking for forever. I'm not making promises. She stopped, pressed her lips together, then tried again. I need this. With you. My heart was pounding so hard. I was sure she could hear it. Emily had never asked me for anything like this. Never hinted. Never crossed the boundaries she herself had drawn. And now she was sitting inches away from me, asking in a voice that sounded like it might break if I said the wrong thing. I wanted her. God, I wanted her. I had since the first time she smiled at me like I mattered. But wanting her had never felt dangerous before. Now it did. Emily, I said quietly, forcing myself to breathe. You don't have to do anything because you think you owe me. I know, she said quickly. That's not why. Then why? She searched my face like she was trying to memorize it. Because if I don't ask now, I don't think I ever will. That scared me more than anything else she could have said. I reached out, brushing my thumb gently along her cheek. She leaned into the touch instinctively, eyes fluttering shut for half a second. That small reaction felt intimate in a way that almost hurt. We don't have to decide tonight, I said. We can just know. She opened her eyes again. And this time there was resolve there. I need an answer. The rain kept falling. The city kept breathing outside my window. And inside my chest, love and fear collided in a way I wasn't prepared for. I didn't answer her right away. Because some questions don't ask for words. They ask for everything. I don't remember deciding anything. I remember the space between us shrinking, the air growing warmer, heavier. I remember the sound of the rain softening, like the world itself was leaning in to listen. And I remember the way Emily looked at me after I didn't answer right away, not impatient, not pleading, just waiting, as if she had already made peace with whatever I chose. That was what broke me. I reached for her hand again, slower this time, giving her every chance to pull. Away. She didn't. Her fingers curled around mine with a quiet certainty that sent a rush through my chest. Are you sure? I asked, my voice barely louder than the rain. She nodded. I've never been more sure of anything. I searched her face for doubt, for hesitation, for fear masquerading as bravery. What I found instead was vulnerability raw and exposed, like she was standing at the edge of something and trusting me not to push her. Then we go slow, I said. At your pace. Her lips curved into a small, grateful smile. Thank you. That word thank you hit me harder than I expected. Love wasn't supposed to sound like gratitude. And yet, in that moment, it felt exactly right. We didn't move right away. We just sat there, hands intertwined, breathing in the same quiet rhythm. I could feel the tremble in her fingers now, the way her thumb traced absent circles against my skin, as if grounding herself. I'm scared, she admitted suddenly. I squeezed her hand. Of me? No, she said quickly. Of how much? This matters. I didn't have an answer for that. So I leaned in, pressing my forehead gently against hers. She closed her eyes, and for a second, everything else disappeared. Our first kiss was nothing like the movies. No urgency. No fire. Just a soft, tentative meeting of lips that felt like a question being asked rather than a statement being made. She kissed me back carefully, as if she was testing the weight of it. I pulled back almost immediately. Still okay? She laughed quietly, breathless. Yes, still okay. The second kiss lasted longer after that. Time blurred. Not in a rushed way, but in a gentle unraveling. Clothes were shed without ceremony. Touches were deliberate, almost reverent. Every movement was accompanied by a glance, a silent check-in. Emily's hands were warm now, no longer shaking. She rested her head against my shoulder as we lay together, the rain a steady backdrop. For a while, nothing happened at all. And somehow, that felt just as intimate. I didn't think it would be like this, she murmured. Like what? So calm. I smiled into her hair. Love doesn't always have to be loud. She went quiet after that. Not the distant. Kind of quiet, something softer. Her breathing slowed, body relaxing against mine. Eventually, she shifted, resting her head on my chest. I wrapped my arm around her instinctively, holding her like it was the most natural thing in the world. And maybe that's when it hit me. This wasn't just one night. It couldn't be. Emily traced patterns on my chest with her fingertips. Thoughtful. Do you ever think about the future? She asked. All the time, I said. Usually in ways that scare me. She smiled faintly. Me too. There was something she wasn't saying. I could feel it, like a storm building just beyond the horizon. I considered asking, but something held me back. Maybe I was afraid of breaking the spell. Maybe I already knew. When she finally fell asleep, it happened suddenly. One moment she was awake, eyes open, watching the ceiling. The next, her breathing evened out, weight settling fully against me. I stayed still, afraid to disturb her. I didn't sleep. Instead, I stared at the dark ceiling and let my thoughts run wild. Every small sound felt amplified. The rain, the hum of the city, the quiet rise and fall of her chest. I replayed her. Words in my head. Just one night. Please. Why did it feel like goodbye? At some point, I pressed a kiss to the top of her head. She stirred slightly, murmuring something unintelligible, then relaxed again. My heart twisted painfully in my chest. Loved her. I knew that with a clarity that scared me. Morning came quietly. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed clean and strangely bright. Pale light filtered through the curtains, painting soft shapes across the room. Emily shifted beside me, blinking awake. For a brief, perfect second, she smiled. Then something in her expression changed. She sat up slowly, pulling the sheet around herself. Her shoulders were tense again, the calm of the night replaced by something heavier. Hey, I said gently. You okay? She nodded, but she didn't look at me. Yeah, can we talk? My chest tightened. Of course. She took a deep breath, as if bracing herself. Last night? I don't regret it. Relief washed over me. Neither do I. She finally met my eyes. There was affection there, and sadness. So much sadness. But it doesn't change what's coming, she said softly. I sat up, heart pounding. What do you mean? She looked down at her hands again, the same way she had the night before. I didn't ask for one night because I was ready for more, she said. I asked because I'm running out of time. The words landed like a blow. Time for what? I asked. She swallowed hard. For us. The room felt suddenly too quiet. I should have told you sooner, she continued. I just didn't know how. I didn't want you to look at me differently. My mind raced, grasping at possibilities I didn't want to name. Emily, I said carefully, you're scaring me. She reached out then, cupping my cheek. In her hand. Her touch was warm, familiar, and devastating. I'm leaving, she said. Soon, the word echoed in my head. Leaving where? I asked, though some part of me already knew. She hesitated. Another city. Maybe another life. I shook my head, disbelief flooding in. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want our time to turn into a countdown, she whispered. I wanted at least one night where it was just us. No endings. I stared at her, heartbreaking. Open. And now? She smiled sadly. Now I have to let you go. I reached for her, pulling her into my arms. She came willingly, pressing her face into my chest like she was memorizing me. We stayed like that for a long time, neither of you speaking. Eventually, she pulled away. I should go, she said quietly. I watched her dress, every movement feeling unreal. When she reached the door, she paused, hand on the handle. Liam? Yes? Thank you, she said, for loving me the way I needed. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and just like that, one night became something I would carry with me forever. The apartment felt impossibly empty after Emily left. The quiet wasn't comforting. It was accusatory. Every shadow seemed to whisper her name. Every corner held the memory of her warmth. I sat on the couch for hours, staring at the place where she had curled up against me, wondering how one night could leave such a permanent mark. I didn't cry. Not at first. I just thought, over and over, she's gone. She's really gone. And with that thought came a strange mix of heartbreak and gratitude. Heartbreak because I had lost her, and gratitude because she had trusted me with herself, even for a moment, in a way no one ever had. Days passed like slow motion. The world moved on around me, but I stayed suspended in a quiet, private morning. I avoided my phone at first, terrified of calling or texting, of breaking the fragile memory of her with something as mundane as words. And yet, every evening, I found myself reaching for it. Not to send a message, not to beg her to stay, just to feel connected, if only by the potential of contact. Weeks slipped by. Each day carried its own ache. I passed the little coffee shop we liked, the one where she would always get too much sugar in her latte, and felt my chest tighten. I walked past the park where we had talked for hours on rainy evenings, and I could almost hear her laugh in the breeze. It was maddening, this invisible tether pulling me towards someone who wasn't there. One evening, nearly a month later, I got a message. Liam. My heart slammed against my ribs. I opened it. I miss you? Can we meet? I didn't think. I said yes immediately, fumbling with the keys as if my hands were strangers. The cafe was quiet, the air scented with coffee and old wood. I arrived first, choosing a corner table where we could be partially hidden. My mind spun with questions. Why now? Why after all this time? She walked in and everything slowed. Emily, same soft hair, same careful steps, same hesitant smile that had haunted my dreams. She looked smaller somehow, more fragile, yet her eyes held that same quiet determination. Liam, she said softly, sliding into the seat opposite me. Emily, I breathed. We sat in silence for a moment, just studying each other, weighing the time lost. Then she spoke. I didn't want to disappear without explaining, she said, her hands twisted in her lap. Leaving wasn't easy. Leaving you wasn't easy. I reached across the table, covering her hands with mine. I know. She looked. Up, tears brimming but not falling. Last time? That night we had, it was real. Every moment. I just didn't know how to stay. I never doubted that, I said. I still feel it, Emily. Every day. She swallowed hard. I've tried to move on. I really have. But I can't. Not fully. I took a deep breath. So what now? She shook her head. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I do know this. I don't want to lose you again. My chest ached with longing and hope. You're here now. That's enough for me. We talked for hours. Not about leaving. Not about the past. Just about us. About what had happened. About the quiet things that mattered more than any grand gesture. Every word, every laugh, every glance was a reminder of what we had shared. It was slow, deliberate, tender. Finally, she reached across the table, brushing a strand of hair from my face. I want more, she whispered. Not just one night. Not just fleeting moments. I want us, if you'll have me. I leaned forward, pressing my forehead to hers. Always, I said, and meant it with every fiber of my being. The world. Outside the cafe faded away. The rain began again, soft and steady, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like a new beginning instead of an ending. That night, we walked home under umbrellas, hands entwined, hearts finally synchronized. Emily leaned against me, her warmth familiar and comforting, and I realized that the one night she had asked for had transformed into something infinitely more enduring, because love, real love, wasn't about counting nights. It was about choosing each other over and over again, even when it was scary, even when it hurt Dot, and for the first time in a long time. I knew we were exactly where we were meant to be.